call me bare-eared Brandy because yes, the ears are on full display. Headphones need to charge. I need to get this video done. I am feeling a little bit naked without them, but that small difference can be ignored. Let's get to it. As promised, I do have the full interview with the one and only Chad Peterson to talk about how he was able to complete
the Enlightened Providers Experts Only Cash Infusion Challenge
that I put forward to all members of the Enlightened Providers membership and anybody who wants to join and take this challenge. And the premise of this challenge is that you will invest in the membership in order to join and get access to the 5 videos inside of the challenge, where you will be learning my social selling strategy for making money selling a brand new offer, a cash offer that you create that serves as an entry point into your business. Now, I want to tell you a little bit about the cash infusion offer so that there is no confusion about the infusion. So when I'm working with new to online marketing, new to online selling, brand new business owners, I want to help them make money faster, because that is going to give them the encouragement and confidence that they need to keep going. If you post all the time and you never sell a thing, you're going to give up before you even get started. While you're out there doing the socializing part of your social media marketing,
how do you do, fellow kids?
You have something to sell that is at an entry-level price point, meaning it's not too expensive, it's not too high risk for somebody to say yes to, that serves as the perfect starting point to enter into your business. It should provide some form of micro-transformation for somebody who buys it that will get them a little further ahead thanks to you. They will then credit your expertise for a result that you have promised and then delivered, so you have a list of active buyers that you are then nurturing to sell to. This is the alternative to what most people do, which is try to build an audience posting content and wait and wait and wait for something to happen, and they're not making any money and they are getting exhausted in the entire process of building that audience before they even get to the part where they have any income coming in. Everyone can have something that they're selling at a reasonable starting price so that the people that they are meeting, the connections that they are making, can buy something from them. They can make money every single day, and that makes it sustainable to do the work to build that audience, to grow your business. Again, you should be making money the whole time. That is something I truly believe in as somebody who has been making my full-time income, full-time living on the internet since 2012. This is a piece of wisdom that I stumbled into fairly early on, and that is one of the main reasons why, for me, I am able to spend as much time as I like networking and engaging on social media, because most days I sell something and get paid. And because of that, it justifies all of the time spent doing the content creation and networking of that content process. And I want that for everyone, because I do not like seeing grown adults take their most valuable and precious thing, which is their time, and waste it and doing this start and stop with no real growth or momentum and no money coming in while they're waiting for this kind of future where their venture online is profitable. If you are somebody who just set up your business today and is trying to make money online for the first time using content and social media, or if you've been doing this a long time but are not yet profitable, is not yet sustaining itself, then you may want to consider this little bit of wisdom. A cash infusion offer is an evergreen offer that you go around with. Essentially, it is a one and done. It has to be something people can buy and you can deliver upon in a very short period of time. Talking a digital product, a membership, a downloadable, a live workshop, some form of course or training that is already instant access. Those kind of things make great cash infusion offers. Easy to buy, quick turnaround to give the deliverable over, and the person in that process begins to trust you because you have now provided them with a result. Not just people who are opting in on some freebie and you're nurturing long term, but people who have actually already paid you for something, and that something is actually the prerequisite, the first step to the greater premise of your business. Now they know that you're actually the expert that you're presenting yourself to be, and they actually have some result that they can credit to you. So that is what the cash infusion offer is all about. And in this challenge, you get to watch 5 videos where I explain what that offer should be, how to go about and find people who might be interested in that offer, how to convert them through a very customer friendly, meaning we don't do anything sleazy or spammy or that doesn't feel good to be on the receiving end of. Basically, we are getting people to invite us to sell to them. So that is what the challenge is all about, and that is what Chad was able to do. He created a cash infusion offer to do this challenge with, and he was able to successfully sell it and reach $150 within a couple of days of launching this offer. And he has continued to market and sell this offer going forward, and he can go back and pull it out of his pocket anytime he needs it. So you're about to listen to my interview. Again, we had these issues with Facebook Live zooming in on the replay. So I made the decision just to pull the audio from these live interviews. I apologize. This was not my intention. I would have never done it this way. So we are doing audio only on the interviews themselves. And this is really good. It is worth a listen. If you are trying to figure out this whole social selling thing, how to make money online, other opportunities to have money coming in while you are building your audience, while you are networking, while you are engaging in communities, then you're going to want to listen to this because we talk in depth about what Chad did to be able to complete this challenge. And there's just great overall insight coming from Chad here because he is experienced in sharing his story in order to share himself as well as his work as the Storycatcher. So please listen to the whole thing and you will find myself as well as Chad inside of the Enlightened Entrepreneurship community where we all hang out. And you can also then, if you like what we have to say here, consider becoming an Enlightened provider, joining the membership and getting access to this challenge so you can also have the same success that Chad has had. But also you get to hang out with cool people like myself, like Chad, like Lindsay, like Heather, who is the next up who I'll be interviewing because she also just completed the challenge. So listen in, just like it's your favorite podcast. Maybe go grab your headphones if you have them fully charged, and hear from Chad how he was able to complete my challenge.
Hey guys, I'm Chad. A lot of people know me as the Storycatcher. I'm coming to you live here in my home in Ecuador, where I ended up. I don't think there's any such thing as accidents, but I didn't see it coming. Ecuador was definitely not on my list of this will probably happen one day. So I came here to teach on a retreat. It was my first time to leave the United States, and I'd gone through a divorce. I was kind of nomading around the United States. And on the last day here, I decided, hey, I don't speak Spanish. I don't know anybody, but I like it. So I stayed. And so I've been here ever since. It's been almost 2 years. Somebody just reminded me the other day. So I work with people who they've checked all the boxes, but they can't figure out why something still feels like it's missing. That person who wakes up one day and the house is empty, the empty nester. They've gone through a divorce, a big life change, a big career loss, and realize I've been living everybody else's story. So I help you identify the things that you need to let go of so that you can stop performing and pick back up the pen as the author of your own story. So
I love that. And I love what you represent and what you share. And you're very open and I want to use this buzzword vulnerable, uh, sharing your own story as also attracting people to you and your work. And so that seems to be a big part of how you go about it. And I guess a good place for us to begin as we talk about this challenge is your previous experience social selling. So connecting with people online and presenting your offers and marketing. What was your previous experience pre this challenge before you jumped in kind of and what background do you have in that or what have you tried? Like just kind of give us the scope of where you were at before this challenge.
Yeah, my previous background was more a little bit higher ticket type things. I guess my one-on-one coaching, and then I bring my clients here to Ecuador for 6-day, 5-night retreats, so they can come experience the magic here. And um, mostly it was sharing experiences, sharing beautiful views, along with the stories of the magic uh, that has happened here in my own life. And now I can share the magic that's happened in other people's because they've come here. But typically, someone will comment on a post in a specific way. And either I reply to the comment because it's appropriate to go ahead and reply there, or they've commented in a way that they're being a little vulnerable, but I don't want to go too deep. So I go to a private message and say, hey, I saw your comment on the post. What showed up for you? What was it that you felt? And then typically we get on a one-on-one call. I don't call them discovery calls, maybe accidentally sometimes, but they're literally, I offer a free story catching session. So if in that hour, I give you a whole hour, if in that hour something doesn't show up and there's not the potential for some type of transformation and it just didn't happen, I'm very open about it and say, sometimes I offer another call. Can we jump on one more call? But 9 times out of 10, something shows up, and then I share with them, this is what I do. This is how this works, and talk them a little bit through the process, make them an offer, and typically they're ready to go. Now, one of my advantages here is my coaching, my retreat. Everything I do is less expensive. I have coaches who tell me all the time, Chad, you're leaving money on the table. You need to charge more. But I live in a place where my cost of living is incredibly low. I let go of a lot of things, so my expenses are low. And I know what it's like to need something like what I do with other people and not be able to afford it and watch other people be able to go and do it. And so, I think it's a combination of my pricing is fair and it's something most people can obtain, and but they also experience the difference that they're going to experience. I guess I use the same word twice, but on that first call. But this challenge was a little different because it was selling just a class, of course.
I want to reverb some stuff you're saying so we can continue the conversation, right? So, again, like we mentioned with Lindsay previously, Chad's experienced like selling on social media. It wasn't that he came into this as a complete newbie, which is likely why he was one of the first to implement and follow through and do those things because his confidence level as well as comfort level putting himself out there, those visibility blocks, those are the things that tend to get in the way of people who are newbies. And a lot of that's like living outside of your comfort zone and practicing the visibility stuff, which we can probably talk to Chad about because he does it really well, but I know he helps other people do it as well, getting out of their own way with that. So I want to share that Chad has experience doing this, but what's different inside of this challenge is what we're starting with is what's called a cash infusion offer, everyone. So we want to create a offer that is a entry level, low risk, easy to say yes to cash infusion offer this is not meant to be your whole business. You're not going to be selling low ticket and that's going to support your whole business. What it's supposed to serve as is a gateway into your business so that you're getting paid for the social media selling you're going to do anyway. And Chad can verify if this is true or not, but social selling, when you're selling high ticket, you have to be able to handle a lot of rejection. And you also have to have the perspective that not everybody just has, even if they want it, they maybe don't have $1,500 to $2,000 just sitting around. They have to think about that. It's a little bit of a higher risk investment. And the trust level, we covered this with Lindsay as well, the trust level for higher ticket things or longer term commitments, even because maybe they're not thinking from a monetary perspective, they're thinking from a time commitments perspective. Somebody giving you a lot of their time, they're also going to need more trust to work with you and spend time with you consistently. So in the high ticket selling world, what typically people suffer through, and they do struggle, and you have to get used to this struggle, is the fact that you're going to have to go through a lot of no's to get to that one yes. But higher ticket does compile into higher, revenue into a business. What the cash infusion offer does in the case of somebody who sells high ticket is you have people buying from you once, at a level that they can afford that is also low risk and an entry kind of to try you out, see what you're like, have an experience with you, that ideally is going to put you into a pipeline for nurture where you actually have people who've actively purchased from you before. So not just freebie seekers who've gotten, a PDF or some kind of lead magnet, but they're actually people who have paid you once, which makes them 90% more likely to pay you again, and also reduces and lubricates that friction between that leap to take a higher level of risk with you, a higher level investment. For somebody like Chad, that's where this comes in. He's now got this workshop in his back pocket. So tell me a little bit about your cash infusion offer, what you decided to go with and why. And just describe who you were thinking of, who you were thinking it was for when you made it, and your process of creating that offer, what went into it.
So everything I teach, everything I do, is because I've experienced it, not just something I've studied or I read in a book. And just a few weeks before you did this challenge, I had gone to a class with a spiritual leader here in Ecuador. And he mentioned something about the emptiness that we need to have in order to receive what's waiting to come inside of us. He called it the empty vessel. And it really stuck with me. So I started diving into it. And then you came up with this cash infusion offer. And I decided, you know what, this has meant a lot to me. I want to share it with other people. And I thought, well, let's put a class together. And so I started posting about letting go of things and creating space for what is supposed to be yours. What the universe is waiting to give you when you're in right connection with what's going on. And so I just created a class idea. And then I thought, well, there's more to it. So I actually created 3 classes, but I sold the one. And when you go to the landing page, there's the opportunity to upgrade to all 3. And I also had decided I was ready to start a paid community. So I thought, you know what, why not throw that in there as well? And instead of the $47 class, then people for $99 could get the upgrade of all 3 classes plus a year at a founder's price in this paid community. And 3 people really quickly went in on the $99 thing. So it put me over the edge there. But it was because I wanted to teach something that I had experienced, not just something I knew about. And that's why my posts were all around that.
I saw you working on it as well and putting it out there. And, it goes back to something, again, Lindsay and I were talking in depth about on our conversation, which is really the key to making these things should be things that you want to share with the world you're an expert and you want to share these things regardless of if you're getting paid or not. That usually comes through in the purest form, and it's read in the energetics of it by people that's really like, you're authentic, you're genuine. It's not just a money grab. It's like you came across something, or there was some valuable insight that you really believe that if you shared this seed with other people, that it would change their lives, because just as you're speaking it, it made a massive impression on you. But with that is from conception to sales to actually doing the deliverable, because in your case, it's going to be a class that'll happen in the future, correct?
Tuesday.
Awesome.
If you want to come, you guys can still come.
Yes, we're promoting it hard here. But that's to the point, from every like stage, from the birth, the conception, the birth, the sharing, it all came from a place of like kind of like pure intent. Although you're working a challenge, and this is a piece of this challenge, is that you are trying to make money. You're actively trying to make money. There's nothing wrong with wanting to make that money. And also, because where it's coming from, you really know that it's got that value, because you know that it's going to be transformational, that when people experience it, there's going to be some lift. In the Cash Infusion offer, by the way, everybody, you're not giving your whole shebang away. It's not meant to be equal to long-term work with Chad or long-term work with whomever. It's meant to give a small micro transformation that people can credit to you. They can say, yeah, because of that hour I spent with Chad, this one small thing has shifted or changed. That they can give a really valid testimonial towards that. That's how you know you're on track with whatever you're creating for an offer to do this, is that people can give a full credit to Chad for one small thing. And they're not going to say, you changed my life in 200 ways and I'm a completely different person. It's just not enough time, or well, maybe it does, but we're just not expecting that. What we're expecting is that people are going to have some transformation, a micro transformation, credited to the person who shared it with them, which is going to open them up to wanting to do more with them, to wanting to engage with them further and become, a frequent buyer, an active buyer, and a raving fan too. Somebody who actually has had a good experience with you and can go out and tell other people. So to speak to that, it sounds like you did exactly what you're supposed to do, which is like think about what you'd like to share with people, whether or not you were going to get paid for or not. We knew you were going to get paid because in the context of the challenge, we're getting paid. But on the inside, when you're creating something not from how can I convince people on Facebook to give me a couple bucks so I can go, buy some stuff that I want. But instead thinking from a place of like, what do I want to share with the world and make a difference? And it's a low enough entry point too, that it's not being gatekept to anybody. It's very affordable. So that said, is that something that is kind of typically part of your process? I know you're again, we're not trying to say we're enlightened in the sense that we are like better than anybody else, but I know you're a very like thoughtful person, a very intentional person based on everything that you put out there. So was that a piece of it? Was it like kind of coming from a soul place or an inspired place? And is that kind of how you do all your work? I mean, honestly, how do you kind of approach creation?
Yeah, everything I do comes from a place of I've experienced it. I went through it. It made a difference. It brought magic and change into my life. And I want other people to experience it because I know what it's like to have not experienced it. And now I get to know what it's like to have it. And it's a great place.
Yeah.
When I went through my divorce a couple of years ago, I literally went on a journey of, okay, you know what? I've spent 50 years living everybody else's story. I don't know who I am without marriage, without my faith, without all of these different things. And that's why I packed up my car and said, I'm done with Texas. I'm just going to go. I use the hashtag finding Chad. Who am I when I'm living my own story? What is my own story? And I shared it and people started reaching out and saying, hey, thanks for helping me realize I'm not alone in feeling this way. You have time to talk. And I realized there were other people who were trying to do what I was doing, and that go through by themselves. And while it's doable, it's not the most fun, and it's definitely not the easiest way. So I started getting some certifications and training on top of my own experience because I had some innate skills to be able to do things. For example, listen. But I also want to make sure that if I was really helping people, I didn't want to say, yes, I can do this and find out I was screwing up their lives. So I made sure I got the training, but it's still everything I did came from a place of I've been through this, and I know I know what it's like to wake up at 3 a.m. and go, who the hell am I? So yeah. So everything I do, everything I teach, everything I create comes from a place of, I've gone through this. Not I read about it. I've been through it.
Yeah, you're
So
also living it. You're also like you're very much embodying the things that you advise other people that you're not just somebody. And this is the case. Like there's a lot of, armchair experts on the internet. There's a lot of people who are using AI to write something that is technically expertise, but it's not their expertise. And people are becoming more and more alert to that and a bit fatigued by it too, because what it is doing, right, is now that it's so accessible to put out expert content or expert presenting content, that it's a saturation. But at the same time, people like yourself and possibly myself, those of us who are embodied experts, meaning that like we walk, you can both hear what we say, but you can also look at what we do, and that increases the credibility. That really puts us in a position where there is that uh, energetic component of selling and magnetizing people towards you. Like everybody talks about attraction marketing, magnetism, and stuff, but there's no way to manipulate that. It is just you live your truth and you willingly share that online, which is still an exercise of self-awareness and creativity and figuring out the best way to go about do that. But what you're trying to do is the closest is to show and tell at the same time. I tell and I show. I tell and I show, which over a period of time creates consistency, which is one of the many factors that lead to trust, because it shows, oh, you're not just throwing things at the wall and trying things out, random business models, random offers. You're an embodied expert, meaning like you're both living this path that you're sharing and you're inviting other people to join you to walk that path. And it's obvious if I follow you for more than a month, if I follow you for more than a couple of days, this is like both the reality you live, as well as the message that you share, which I think is a vital piece. It's not explicitly shared in the challenge because I'm hoping the type of people who take the challenge already fundamentally understand that. It's definitely not for people who are just trying to make a buck on the internet. They have to be some form of an expert already. And that said, in making it, I was really thinking about these experts who really should be making more money, would be making money for the comments that they're leaving in Facebook groups and the different ways that they're showing up every day. That they could have this, that they could make money with it, so that you're not waiting till you have the next high ticket sale, the person coming to the retreat. But now with this cash fusion offer and whatever types of offers, you can go back to the challenge and use it over and over again. You now have a proven process where selling online can become fun because the social part, you know how to turn the socializing into making money. Is that what you found in this? That now you had a more purposeful social kind of socializing to do, and it kind of added some intention to that and made it maybe a little more fun even with.
I think it definitely gave me a little bit more intention. Like for a while now, there's been like a little bit of a specific theme to my posts. It's made me look deeper into myself because it's important to me. We talked about AI, and guys, there's nothing wrong with using AI. I use AI. I get called out for it in some of the groups. I'll create a post and somebody, usually an anonymous comment, oh, I had to use AI to write this. And I'm open about it. I'm like, yeah, I had AI help me with this. A carpenter who uses a nail gun instead of a hammer doesn't make him less of an authentic carpenter, right?
True.
But the AI is, I mean, some of the stuff the AI knows about me, if it ever became public, people might be like, oh, wow, there's a lot of stuff we didn't know about Chad. I'm very, like it knows me. And so they're my stories, they're my thoughts, they're my framework, they're my stuff. But the AI helps me write better.
Mm-hmm.
That's, I'm an okay writer, but I'm not that good. So it's okay to use it, guys. But like you said, don't use it to make you look like you know more than you know.
Exactly. It's some real straight up truth. Like I've been saying the whole time, I've been using AI as well because it's for me also somebody with like neurodivergence and autism and ADHD, but also we all have gaps. We all have things we maybe need help with. For me, it's like the great equalizer. And I think that is a good way to look at it because like some people have many good ideas and they can write them in bullet point, but turning it into a nice narrative post. Or some people write narrative posts, but they're not really social media friendly. They're more like a thought dump, so they can use it to turn it into a more that's all good use of AI. That's all intuitive. And I think what makes it a valuable resource for people, no matter what their gaps are, even just using it for grammar and spelling so you can look a little bit more professional or help format, like that's completely fine. And what we're seeing, right, is those people who call people out for using AI and stuff, they're looking at a very narrow lens, like good or bad. They're trying to give this inanimate thing, what role does it play in our current time in humanity and where we're at. But they're kind of narrow in their thinking. And we want to try to have a more enlightened thinking or perspective. I mean, I viewed it very much like, yeah, anything that's a tool. I loved what you said, by the way, about does a carpenter using a hammer and a nail versus a nail gun, like, does it make them any less effective of a carpenter? Well, I'd say it makes them more effective of a carpenter because they can build more things. They can do a more polished job. There's more of a mess you're going to come to expect or more risk you're taking when you're just only hammering in the nail. Now you've got this tool that allows more precision. So there's still actually, like, in some ways, it's a great elevator, but at the very least, it's an equalizer for people who have deficits, but it's not a replacement for embodied expertise.
Right.
That said, within that embodied expertise, which is what we wanted to come across, which obviously with you naturally does come across because you already have experience creating great content. Like that's part of what you do. You create great content and you tell good stories, which is attraction marketing. Did you find in the processes that we included that included AI, such as creating the questions to kind of pull people out, or did you even do that step? Because some people can skip that step. What did you find about that? Like, did it help you in any way? Kind of find the right questions for your audience? Did it support you in trying something different, or where did that come in that piece of the challenge?
Yeah, I think that was a great addition to the process that you put in there. Now, disclaimer: I've used AI, for a while. I'm blessed. I'm fairly well versed. I came from the marketing world. I taught storytelling and content creation. And so I came from it, which gave me a little bit of maybe not an advantage, but just let me be a couple steps ahead of maybe where some people are in this challenge. So I was already doing that. I was already having AI help me come up with some questions and things to help me make sure I was presenting this in a way that people would feel what I felt. But I did that by telling the AI, look, this is what I feel. This is what I was struggling with. This is what the empty vessel, which is the class I'm doing, right? This is what it meant to me. Are other people feeling this? And so we looked into it. So then what are the questions that we need to ask to help other people connect with it the same way I did? So the AI helped me by helping me create questions, but they were all still based on my experience. And I think that's an important part. The other side, I think, with the challenge is I'd be interested to know where the bottlenecks are for the other people who are currently in it. For example, my website was created by somebody else, but for cost purposes and whatnot, I decided to create my landing pages. So I had to learn how to do that. I had to get better with kit.com to create a couple email sequences that I connected to it. So there were skills in this challenge that it was really one of the main reasons I did it. I was like, I need to learn these skills. And this challenge is going to give me a little bit more of a incentive to get past that fear of the unknown of, I don't know if I can do this. I've never done it before. And I know if I experience those feelings with the experience I already have in marketing, I'm guessing there's other people in the challenge who are allowing those same stories to show up. I don't know if I can do this. I've never done this before. What if I fail? What if people don't buy it? So I'd be curious to know what the stories are that are showing up in the way of other people getting this done and doing it. I'm not going to sit here and tell you, oh, it's super simple, it's super easy, because for a lot of people here, you've never done it before, and that can be scary. That can be intimidating. So, I would love to know how I can help. You know, how can I help you get past whatever that imposter story, that's showing up, the story. So I'm offering that to the group. So if somebody's stuck, reach out to me and let's spend an hour on a call and figure out what's showing up and getting in the way.
You're absolutely right. Like there's different bottlenecks. There's different things in the 5 steps of the challenge where people get caught, because the very first thing I'm asking you to do is be out of your comfort zone and be visible. I mean, coming up with the offer is step 1, and some people are overthinking. So they're going to overthink in that step. They'll be like, what am I actually an expert on? Maybe imposter syndrome is going to kick in because I'm like, this is for experts. And then I'm asking you to say, what are you an expert in? And then you start to kind of go, oh, like imposter syndrome. So that first piece, that overthinking, that's why some people aren't even starting. They're stuck on video 1, where I'm like, okay, what are you an expert in? Here's the premise of cash infusion. What are you going to sell? And some people will get stuck there, and that's one massive hurdle to overcome. But then there's a few other things, like you said, the tech stack. By the way, you went above and beyond to do that. I say in the videos in the challenge, if anybody's watching and they're thinking about joining the challenge, if you can have a Google Doc and you can have a way people can pay you, you can do this. But I do also emphasize that having these pieces ready to go, or adding maybe some automations and some lead capture and stuff, are going to make your life easier, but they're also going to make you more effective at this, because you're going to be having a lot of communications. And it's the practical purpose of these pieces. Even if you're not big into any digital marketing tech and you're like, I just want everything to feel really personal and I'm still sending invoices, those pieces are technically accurate in the sense that it allows you to do things at scale. Because it's one thing to try to keep track of 5 people you're talking to in the DMs. When you get really into this, you might be talking to 20 people, and being able to keep in touch with them or keep track of who you talk to and where they were at in your lead process. That's when you start to introduce things like a CRM and an email marketing system and landing pages and these different pieces, because at scale, they just make sense. When people sell, and Chad, you sell high ticket. And so people who sell high ticket are looking for quality over quantity. But when you shift to low ticket, you have to do more interacting. You have to collect more people. Somebody selling high ticket might still build a lead list or try to nurture a marketing list and build an audience and such. But they're knowing that if they've been given a realistic perspective, they know that this is a long-term strategy and that they're nurturing people towards making higher level investment. But with these lower ticket items, having these pieces in place allows for things to happen like you just put it in a link and people buy directly from that link, which removes then you having to do long 20-minute DMs with them. Some people are just buying from the link in the bottom of the comments of the post, or you can shoot them the link right in the comment. So all those things, like you said, you did the tech, which is you wanted to learn the skill sets of doing it, which now you're set up with that and can go do that whenever you needed. It's going to save you money. It's also going to make you feel like a more confident, just kind of like online business owner, because these are all vital pieces. But then the other piece of it is, at scale, we have these pieces because they allow us to do things that even if we were doing this 24/7, hustling and grinding and destroying ourselves, trying to chase rather than actually like calmly call in as we prefer to do. Even if you were chasing, you'd need these pieces. You would need these pieces to keep up with all of the activity that you're hopefully generating. That said,
but guys, I sold my first retreat. I had 7 people on it, and I sold it with a Google Doc with a Stripe link.
Yes, and people need to hear this, because I've been telling people the same thing now. Like, I've been making money online since 2012, and I didn't have things formally set up. I was sending invoices. I was just sending invoices and talking to people on calls and getting a yes and writing out our agreement and then getting the payment. And all of it was done very choppy. It was like each step was a manual step. But at the time I was selling what was a higher ticket retainer, longer term services too. So it was personal anyway. The sales process was personal, and all those pieces, got me going, and it allowed me to build my first, get to my first 50K and then 100K. It definitely was very manual for me as well. some people don't even want to start till they have all these tech pieces in place, which is another bottleneck because they're blaming something material to avoid addressing something internal in a lot of those cases. So, the obstacle is technology. Well, what if I told you technology wasn't a concern, that you could do this without, you know, a CRM or any kind of automation or anything fancy? They'd still feel probably objections or fear, even if you take that away. And in the challenge, I've addressed that. But to speak to that, I wanted to get to the question I've been asking everybody is, for you, with the social selling process, how many conversations were you having? Like, what was the amount of traction that it got? And then how many of those turned into any kind of DM conversations or any kind of did you have to get on any quick phone? What happened as you started
For
the
like
process?
this challenge?
Yeah, let's talk specifically about this challenge. And if anything was different to what you'd usually encountered, I'd love to hear that. But what did you find as you were working the process? How many people were you talking to? And what Lindsay told us her conversion rate was about 50%. So bravo. Do you know your conversion rate even? Like how did things go for you in the process?
But mostly it was just sharing it. And when somebody showed up with a comment on a post that it seemed appropriate, I dropped them a message and said, hey, just let you know, ask them another question and then just share the link with them. I very rarely share the link in the comments because I don't want a post to just become a comment thread of me replying with the same link. It looks very spammy. And it becomes obvious that you're just trying to sell. But I didn't have to have any like long conversations. When I get to the point that somebody is commenting with the right comment, you just kind of feel it. You get to know it, and then you just have a couple of texts, a couple of messages. Hey, look, this is what's going on. I've got this going on. I'd love to have you. And the people that were in that particular situation, they bought it. I've been working on so many different things right now that I probably haven't marketed this as much as I need to. I'm going to try to do a nice little push over the weekend. I'd love to get some more people in it. But yeah, as far as conversion rates and analytics and all that, I just got a CRM. So I got a lot of work to do on that. But I see Muhammad here commented about needing to get out of his comfort zone to record his video. And I would just tell you, one, Muhammad, message me. I'm happy to chat with you. But what I would tell you is that Muhammad is incredibly comfortable with creating the video, but there's a story somewhere that's not yours that's showing up and telling you this isn't comfortable. And for some reason, it's trying to protect you from something.
Oh, I love that. I would tell him the same thing.
So Mohammed, you are comfortable doing this, but the story that's showing up, I call it a visitor. It's an outside visitor that shows up. It's not you, but it's saying you're not comfortable. But the truth is, the visitor is the one that's not comfortable. So if you want to identify who that visitor is, where that story is coming from, hit me up. Happy to chat about it. And that goes for anybody in the challenge. Like, this is a group, guys. We're part of a community. We're here to help each other. Sure, opportunities to sell to each other as well. I think that's great. But I want to see everybody succeed on this challenge. So if you're not in your comfort zone, or imposter syndrome is showing up, which, by the way, is also a story and a visitor and not you, hit me up. I want to see everybody knock this out of the park.
Yes, thank you for that, Chad, and thank you for speaking directly to his comment, because there are things that I ask you to do in the challenge, such as like record a video where you're talking to your people and describe your offer. And for some people, that is absolutely out of their comfort zone. Like, they've never picked up their phone and like done a selfie video, or which is what I'm asking. It's just a selfie style video. It's low risk. Like, you can do as many as you'd like. So if one doesn't work, go do another one. It shouldn't take you a few minutes. But I'm asking people to have the self-confidence to just pick that up, and they're going to go send that to a complete stranger. So I understand this this is why it's called a challenge, because they are meant to have you examine in yourself, like actually what your real limitations are in social selling. Because here's what I know to be true. People who like kill it at social selling, which you hit on this really well, Chad, no matter what, even if you're following Brandy's strategy or process, or you're, going off script and doing your own thing, it's reactive and it's intuitive. It cannot be a script. You can't just, I do have a script that's like, here's an example of a script so you can learn, here's in general what this might look like. But what Brandy's telling Chad to say, if he just copy pasted that or tried to do that, there you lose some of the authenticity, but you also fall out of alignment to like what would be Chad's unique approach to this idea. So what's being technically correct is video selling is a proven method. Being able to show up with your face on a camera and talk about what you do, whether it's at a networking event or in person, or pick up your phone and do a selfie style video, to step into another level of professionalism and success, you want to be able to do that. And you want to be able to do that if your kid's in the room or your hair is messy or whatever, because it's not about, this is not meant to be content that you're putting up on your for your reels or your YouTube channel. You're trying to connect with the person on the other side, and they will feel like you've got put a little bit of extra effort in if you are doing that with your actual face, with your actual voice. They're not judging you in a DM in a video that you look like the most perfect human in the entire world that ever existed. They're not looking at your appearance. They're hopefully kind enough that they're not judging you for, aesthetic things that none of us can control. They might look at your house and your surroundings or your fashion and your style. They might look at that and go, can I vibe with this person? Is this somebody I would want to be friends with? But they're not judging you in the sense that like, oh my goodness, everything about this I'm going to pick apart. What they're actually doing, what they're actually experiencing is somebody trying to do something, which is basically reaching out, and they're trying to go the extra mile. That's how it comes across to most people in Messenger. That's how it comes across to most people who see it. They know because they may have the same feeling that making videos of ourselves is unnatural and uncomfortable. And we feel more connected to people when we see them hitting a vulnerable, like doing something that's vulnerable with confidence. You feel like, oh, I respect them for that. I respect them for doing something that I wouldn't normally do. So I'm actually going to take the time to listen to what they have to say, because they just went out of their way to do something that is not comfortable. I know that because I'm a human too. So that's how I tell people to kind of get over that hump of thinking about it from I'm putting myself out there. And it's kind of, in some ways it is kind of like setting up your dating profile in a way. I mean, people's self-awareness, all of a sudden you have to be aware of how you want to come across. So it is very similar in that exercise, because you're going to become hyper aware of yourself for a minute, which is, for people who's not used to doing that, super uncomfortable. But just as you're saying, Chad, it's like all of us have things that are outside of our comfort zone that stop us from doing a thing we intuitively know we should do or that will make a difference. But it's usually not the thing we think it is, like the technical, how do I technically do this? Or what's the correct script or the words to say? It's something else in us. It's like, who am I to do this? Or, oh, I would never do that. Or like, oh, it's all self-examination that's being forced on us to do this activity that is a little bit awkward, a little bit strange. Did you find any of it uncomfortable? Was there anything that stretched you besides the tech? Because that was great learning for you. But was there anything about the interacting part that?
For me, I had to be okay with, because I used to do live streams. I used to produce live streams for people. And back in the States, somewhere in storage, I've got a very powerful desktop and teleprompters and lights and microphones and all these incredible tools that I don't have here. Shameless plug. I'm hoping this fall my book that I'm writing, it will be out. It's called The First Pancake. And I had the first pancake myself. When most of the time when you make pancakes, the first one always comes out looking like some weird amoeba, or it's burnt on one side, or it's doughy in the middle. But you got to make the first pancake so you can make the second one. But quite often the first pancake is edible. It's still good. It just doesn't look the way but we're scared to do it, right? So I had to first pancake myself and go, hey, Chad, you don't have all your fancy tools and all your little cool gadgets to make this awesome video. Just go make the freaking video. Go first pancake it. We were all handed this recipe of what we think everything's supposed to be. That the recipe we get handed from the world, from other people. So I had to put that down and remember, hey, this is my story. This is my experience. I get to write it the way I want to write it. And so that was one I had to get over, which is why the video was the last thing I did.
Yeah, and it's incredible. It can be incredibly intimidating, and even though you're somebody who is comfortable, obviously, with video, based on what you just said, it's also it's doing it in a more I want to say the word authentic, not as in those other videos you were creating word authentic, but authentic in the fact that like when you strip it all back, when it's
It's just
minimized.
organic. It's real.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's actually like some people do it in reverse, right? Some people do it in reverse where they become confident as a podcaster, a YouTuber, a content creator, and then they do that where they have a lot of control. But I have found like if people can do it, that is actually like a more advanced content production format. If you can do simple little pieces where it's just talking head, just selfie style and stuff, that's where you get it's your training wheels. Maybe in your mind, you're like a year from now, I'm starting a podcast. I'm telling you, you're never going to be successful as a podcaster if you can't do these things first, because these are the things that are like little exercises to test the waters, to build like kind of that genuine comfort with it. So even if it feels like completely foreign and you're like, oh, I'd much rather do it in these scenarios where I have more control, that is going to advance level 5 before you try to use level 1. And I see that getting in the way of people like making like most experts, I believe, could make money today selling their expertise on the internet. No website, no branding, sending invoices and Google Docs. The ones who are not doing it but want to are chasing all these other bells and whistles, or this idea that you just said what they think it's supposed to be. But expertise selling just requires one thing, which is that you're a legitimate embodied expert. And then everything else, you actually get a lot of forgiveness around because, and this is what I found early on in my career without really naturally knowing it, is people do not care about that. They don't care if they're checking out on Stripe or PayPal or some, other e-commerce platform, or you're sending them an invoice. If they want you, they want you. That's just a piece. But we have this marketing world where it's like this is the Ferrari of CRMs, and this is what everybody's adding to their websites, and all these tools and toys and trinkets that have cultures that are meant to push people towards like playing with those toys instead of actually making money. And those toys are meant for people who know how to make money and want to make making money easier for themselves. But people who already make money jump onto any of those platforms, and it doesn't matter, it's interchangeable to them. People who worry too much about those things stay there. They stay stuck with that because they're not learning these other skill sets that are infinitely more valuable. Because I did want to address the rejection sensitivity component of putting yourself out there and what we're looking at with conversion rate. Like I asked you about your numbers. It's okay, you don't know your numbers, but there's an experience we have to be willing to have, which is to get more no's than you do yeses in most cases. Lindsay said she had a 50% conversion rate, and I thought that was incredible. But what most people are going to encounter is not that. What most people are going to encounter is something like a 2% conversion rate. I mean, you might talk to 100 people and get 2%. The 2% conversion rate is completely normal. Now, if you're getting like 20 out of 100, that's a 20% conversion rate. That's really good. And that's really great for a proven product. And that's actually what a lot of e-commerce sites are aspiring towards. But the rejection is going to come more than the yeses in most instances, in most cases. Get people comfortable with people saying no and essentially rejecting them and hitting them in that little personal feeling nerve where it goes, oh, that doesn't feel good. I tried and it didn't work out. So did you encounter any of that? Did you, or maybe before when you were building your confidence, when you were first starting out online, rejection sensitivity? Any thoughts to weigh in on that, Chad?
Yeah, I mean, nobody wants to feel that way, right? A disclaimer, I will say the 3 people that I had conversations with, actually like one-on-one messaged about this class, all 3 signed up. So from that standpoint, 100%, right? Yeah. But how many people saw the posts, saw the links, and I never talked to them because for some reason they didn't comment or the conversation didn't go to that place? I don't know. There was probably plenty. With the retreats, I get plenty of someday. I'd love to do it someday. that rejection. Here's the thing I had to learn. I had to learn that, one, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm doing the work I was created to do. What I do works. It's transformational. I've seen it work. So when someone says they're not ready, or says not now, or says no, I had to learn that was them. They're not ready. It took me a while to get to that point, to not feel like, oh, I should have said this, or I didn't say this right, or maybe I'm doing the wrong thing. Maybe my product sucks. And that's hard.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, guys, the rejection is going to impact everybody differently. But that's honestly, it's just based on where you are in your own journey. Taking rejection personally was a big thing for a long time. I felt like I always had to perform. I was always on stage, and if people didn't applaud or people didn't buy, I didn't perform well enough. And learning to let that go, and recognizing that the people who are supposed to show up for who you are, who you really are, and not the performance and the thing you're putting on to try to get them to want you and like you. Those people are going to show up. They may not always show up in the numbers that you are right now. And that can be frustrating, especially if you're trying to put food on your table or pay your rent, because I get that. I totally get that. I have low costs here, but it doesn't mean that every month I'm just rolling in it, right? Because I'm not. I've got a long way to go. But it's hard. It's hard, guys. I get it. Nobody likes rejection. Nobody's like, hey, there's those guys, there's coaches that'll tell you, go ahead and learn to love no. Why?
Yeah.
Why? I don't go learn to love no. Learn to be okay with it and realize that it's just part of the thing and it's not a reflection on you. But don't go out and be like, I want to go get as many no's today as I possibly can. I've heard that technique, and I get the the psychology or whatever behind it, but it's going to happen, guys. It's just, but if it's hitting you really hard, then again, like I said, with the imposter syndrome, there's an underlying story. So that's making you fear the rejection. And it's a visitor. It's something outside that's trying to protect you from something based on an old story. So let's go find that old story so that when the rejection fear shows up, you can give it the middle finger and tell it to leave you alone.
Something that was taught to me when I was learning sales, and I used to do high ticket sales for like selling SEO packages and whatnot, but it was told to me, right, that like you can't take it personally. You really can't. You have to understand that like each person's living on their own timeline and their own reality. But at the same time, every time you like hear that rejection, if you do like an introspection, um, if you have to evaluate yourself and like where did that come from, if you're just using it to validate an already limiting belief you have that like nobody loves you, nobody wants you, the things you make aren't that valuable, the things you stand for are that nobody, if you already hold those beliefs, all that rejection, you're experiencing it and then you're going, oh well, that's because of that. And that's actually blocking like deeper critical thinking that will teach you how to sell better. You're actually like doing the lazy thing, which is like defaulting to what your monkey brain wants it to be about, right? So say maybe you were bullied as a kid and nobody wanted to play with you. So now people are rejecting your offer. Oh, that's because I'm, this person that nobody wanted to play with. And then you stop there and then you stop doing the things you have to do and you go get a day job and you're miserable and you're not pursuing your passions or your dreams. But if you can kind of clear that little mess of thinking up, you get a gateway then to go, okay, they said no, but what did they actually say? Did they say yes, but someday? Okay, this is somebody I need to follow up with. Are they going to get into my nurture sequence? Am I going to get them on my socials? Should I keep in touch with them? That's actually what they're telling you. They're telling you, like, check with me later in the future. that's important insight to you as the marketer. Oh, you wouldn't have had access to that if you would have just been like, go to lick my wounds, now I'm sad. Like you need to get to the more critical information, the more valuable information from the experience. Somebody maybe said, well, no, this is not for me because, and they gave you a hyper specific reason. Oh, I bought something like that, or I'm not going to do that type of selling and stuff. And you can look at that and go, oh, they think it's one thing that it's not. So I should go change my presentation because they're making a assumption about what this offer is. Their understanding of it's not clear. So I'm not doing a good enough job. You wouldn't have got to that important, vital information that's going to make the next attempt better by allowing that first thing to get in the way. And I don't mean to like diminish anybody, but it's like you can't do this online stuff. You cannot participate in this online economy and do so and do well and get out of your own way if those little things, like it's like, well, everything's about when I was a kid and no one loved me, or everything's about, my ideas are dumb and nobody wants them. If everything becomes about those limiting beliefs that you've like accepted for whatever reason, and we all have some of these are really deep-seated traumas that we do need to work on, that we do need to kind of clear through processes. But at the same time, even if you're carrying hurt or things from your past, you cannot bring them into sales conversations with you. You have to do a visualization where you're like, let's unpack our backpack here at the door, because we know that all exists. I mean, you could be in the process of healing it. You don't have to be completely fixed. You can be working with somebody in your life to coach you through that. You could be doing whatever kind of process you'd like to clear some of that. But you can still do selling if you learn to leave that stuff, outside the door of your office or outside of the door of like your, mental space while selling, because it's 99% of the time not about you. If you're really out of alignment and you're doing sketchy, sleazy, manipulative things, then it is about you, and you just don't have the self-awareness. But if I'm talking to a self-aware individual whose intention is not to do anything that's like manipulative or harmful or just bad marketing tact, bad social media citizen tact, then it's not about you ever, because they don't know you that well to know into your deep soul to like go, well, the kids in high school didn't like him, so I don't like him. They don't know that. They don't have that information. All they have is like, what are they doing that day and what their agendas are, what their thoughts about themselves are. And they don't have enough information about you for it to even possibly be about you. So I tell people that, and it's not meant to diminish people's journey to self-confidence and selling. It's to go, well, there's a way you can be like, only have a moderate level of self-esteem, be broken in many ways. Because I know when I was selling, I still had a lot of personal stuff that I was still trying to work through. I was a young person with a lot of trauma and baggage when I started, but I could still sell things because they don't have to, we decide to tie them together, but they don't have to be tied together. Bit of a tangent beyond the point, but I thought that'd be fun to share with you.
Well, it makes what is great is that's what the class I'm teaching Tuesday, the empty vessel.
Awesome.
Everybody who comes to the class is going to name and identify at least one thing that they need to set down so they can make space.
Clear it out.
For what's waiting for them to receive.
Sounds right? Great. You can hard so we're wrapping up. So this is your chance to, first of all, hard sell that thing. So tell us all that's included, the deliverables, the expectation, all of that. And then what I'd like afterwards for that, because I'm obviously going to clip it, is any testimonial offering of something that you thought was particularly wonderful about this challenge, as something you're grateful you took away from it, anything that I can use to encourage other people to join, and anybody who's watching this now or on the replay could hear from you. So it's all yours. First, hard sell us on it. This is your time, and we'll fully endorse.
Oh, I don't know about hard selling, but guys, I've received so much in the last 2 years as I went on my own journey. But the moments where I received the most was where I learned to let go of the things that were getting in my way. I had to empty out so that I could receive. And so this class Tuesday, I want to share the things that I learned that helped me get where I am today. I want to help you figure out what is the thing that you need to let go of, that you need to lay down and realize it's not yours. It was never yours, so that you can make room for what really is yours. And whether it's this challenge or your business or just a sense of a joy that's missing from your life or a sense of purpose, whatever it is. If you wake up in the morning, you're like, I don't really even know who I am. The class is going to help you lay things down so you can make space for what's really waiting for you. I'd love to have you. It's 2 hours. You'll get access to the recording. There's a workbook that I'll send you. So there's journaling. There's a 30-day process you can go through after the class. If you have questions, I'll give you, some access to me as you go through the 30 days. There's an upsell for 2 other classes that we're going to do over the next 6 weeks, as well as a founding member price to be part of a community where you can meet with other people who are going on this journey as well to rediscover what their story is. I'm going to help you take back the pen as the author of your own story during this class. So it's $47. If that's too much for you, then message me and let's figure out how to get you in there. I tried to make it affordable, but if that's at 47, private message me. Nobody needs to know, and we'll figure out how to get you in there because I want you to be able to have it when you're there. As far as the challenge, the challenge, what was great for me is that it reminded me that I don't know everything. And then I needed the reminder, you know what? I need other people in my life who have an expertise that I don't. And I need to humble myself enough to go in and say, okay, I'm going to follow their process and trust them. And I trusted Brandy. And I learned new skills and I made sales I wouldn't have made otherwise. So thank you, Brandy, for sharing your years of knowledge and expertise and your very systematic process that was easy to follow. It was a challenge, thus the name, like you said, but it was step by step. And you didn't share it in a way that, oh, by the way, now I'm going to try to sell you something. You truly wanted us to succeed. And I think that's what made it easier to say, I'm in. So thank you for being that person that you are.
Oh, you just melted me. Oh, I love it. Thank you, Chad. And, I did make this because there was a need because people are joining the Enlightened Providers membership, which I'm very passionate about. Even if a person's not selling, we have a wonderful community here in Enlightened Entrepreneurship, and the Enlightened Providers are our experts who are vetted and trusted by me to share this group because a community can't exist without other people contributing energy to it. So the Enlightened Providers membership itself has standalone value, but people were coming to me going, I don't know how to get a return on investment on this. And even though it's a low investment, it's $15 a month. Currently, the price is going up. So if you're watching this in the future, the price is going up on the Enlightened Providers membership. But it is a low-cost investment to become an Enlightened Provider. But those questions of how do I make a return on investment, I recognized there was a need for at least a review on social selling. And then I felt in my own way a challenge to try to, for me, a lot of this comes naturally. And people say I make it look easy, and they want to know, because I don't do a lot of cliche tactics, how am I making money every day, or if I actually am selling things, which I am. I bring in an equivalent of a full-time income doing this. I wouldn't do it otherwise because I have to provide my share to my family. Let's be real, the cost of, so my husband allows me to play on Facebook all day. Not that he allows, not that he controls. He's actually super sweet and says I can do what I want. And especially right now, after years of me burning myself out, I've more than proven my capability, because he used to be a stay-at-home dad and my agency was our main source of income. But to the point, we joke that my husband lets me play on Facebook all day and bring in income because it is the equivalent of what I would make if I had a regular job. And people want to know how I do it because they can't see on the front end, how this is possible, because there's so many things I do behind the scenes that I'm not intentionally gatekeeping, but are largely just kind of part of my natural process So the challenge for me was, could I break this down into 5 steps? Thankfully, I had some other trainings and client stuff that I had already created that inspired this. But I wanted to simplify it completely to the beginner, because I'm learning about myself that being both autistic and somebody who has kind of a unique mind that kind of works like AI and I can break everything into a system. Most people don't have that gift to think that way, that everything breaks into a process really easy. For me, that's just a natural gift. You start talking and I start breaking it into like 5 steps that we can get you somewhere. But not everybody has that. So I wanted to see if I could take and simplify almost, to challenge myself to make it attainable and not too complicated, something that people are going to get overwhelmed on the details of, and instead inspire people to just push themselves a little bit further out of their comfort zone and remember, because a lot of it is remembering and unlearning. A lot of it's not me, I'm perfect and I know everything. It's reminding people inside of this challenge to do what is actually intuitively correct, not what some hustle bro does, not what somebody their MV following does, not something that some coach or person who's super like well known and popular and everybody like worships says to do, but to do what feels intuitively correct, which is embodied and respectful of your nervous system, respectful of the fact that you're interacting with strangers and you also want to leave people better than you found them. It's something that I think is really important in the social selling world, to forget hustle bro, boss babe bullshit and be like, this is the most beautiful gift of technology we get. This is the great connector. I don't care if TikTok's your preference or X or YouTube or this Facebook. Technology in itself is the great connector, and we use it in the most disconnecting ways because somebody's been really successful indoctrinating us to believe that like the other people on the other screen are super judgmental and we need to all be like afraid and protect ourselves. So all those behaviors are fear-based behaviors, but it's not truth, because what is true is human connection. As we connect with each other, we relax on our expectations of each other and we start to look what we have in common. And that is how you actually build loyalty. It's how you can collaborate. It's how you can network. It's how you can build a platform and a following in a way that isn't in your face, isn't the way a lot of us want to show up in our lives. We don't want to seem like we're super like eccentric or full of ourselves or trying to get attention to validate something on the internet. A lot of us just want to be able to do this successfully, put food on the table, being us. But you have to be willing to realize that, like, well, then the other person on the other side of the screen or the camera or the device that you're trying to connect with, they have the same motivations. They have their own reasons for being there, but they're seeking connection too. So that's a lot of my philosophies. It's a lot of what I lead with. And it's what I try to infuse into this challenge, that it's really subtly just nudging people towards that perspective. Did you pick that up? Did you feel that in there?
Absolutely. I felt the nudge and I was grateful for the nudge. So I needed the nudge. So I was, it's funny. Like I said, when you make space, the right things show up. And you were one of the right things that showed up. This challenge was one of the right things that showed up. And I was ready to receive it. And I'm just so grateful that I did. So thank you for the nudge. I felt more like a hug than a nudge, but it's okay.
I love that. I want to just be hugging all my friends on the internet. I feel like we've gotten to know each other. The Night Owl networking has really offered a lot to people who felt like they needed some connection, and I've loved getting to know you. I really appreciate you spending the time doing this interview and sitting down with me, and I'll help you along. I'll clip some bits here to help you with the promotion so you can fill a few more spots. But everybody should go check out Chad. He's a real one, and we all want to connect with real ones. And I'm grateful for you. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I can't wait till we get to talk again.
All right. Hopefully we'll see you guys all here in Ecuador soon.